go.
Hello, and welcome back to a special edition of the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. Got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, live and in person. You can't see us, but we can see each other. Jodye, what's up, Joe?
What's good, bro? I mean, I will say this will be a fun one. If you guys hear buzzing anytime, just know I'm doing my best to make sure that my mic doesn't do that this whole time. It's going to be tough over there. There's always something, but hey, we're making it work. We're in person, like TB said. Pretty sick, honestly. If you had video, you would see our little setup, but you'll have a picture to see what we're talking about later.
Yeah, I guess in lieu of video, you'll see what we've got posted here. We got a good episode, might I say. We're going to talk some QB head coach tiers. We're going to talk some awards previews for the 2026 NFL season. And but before we get there, Joe, tell the people, what are you doing in town?
Oh, we're in town for TB's wedding. My man getting married in a couple days. I guess the 5th. I don't, this will come out a lot later than we're talking. So.
Joey's going to have to go back from this. He's going to have to cut all this audio. He's going to have to hope that it all works. I wish you guys could see the setup. It's I guess, you would think an in-person pod would actually be easier. Truthfully, it's harder than our normal setup.
If I had my laptop that wasn't a dinosaur and I had all my stuff set up on there, it could have worked. But until the wheels fall off, I'm rocking with an 11-year-old dinosaur as a laptop and like an 8-year-old desktop.
Fair enough. So, as we said, special episode. We're in person. We got the dinosaur set up. This is how old podcasts. All podcasts are like video now. So it's Jax is
he's making sure we get the mumbles in the background now. He said, "Hey, stop holding the mic like that."
Jax, one of my dogs, has decided that he needs to be part of the podcast. Give him a bark, Jax.
There you go, a couple sniffs.
Couple sniffs into the mic. I don't know if you guys could hear that. But, this is how old podcasts were made, dude. This is not, nowadays everything is filmed and everything is like for Netflix now. All the big podcasts are on Netflix
big
now.
Time.
But normally we're on YouTube, but today we're just, kind of old school, just into the mics, no
it's
video.
Like we're on Sirius XM.
Yeah,
you just
dude.
hear us coming through the speakers.
Yeah,
No visuals on the TV saying, hey, well, where will LeBron end up next? Or what do you think about Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown traded to the Sixers. So we're going to start today's episode, though, with our QB head coach tiers. And we'll tell you how we did this. Jodye and I individually ranked each head coach and quarterback duo from every team on an A+ to F- scale. We gave each team a letter grade for their QB head coach. Then we organized them into tiers, looked and assessed, where each team was based on where the tiers were and in comparison to each other, and then adjusted as we had to there. And we kind of landed on these final tiers, of which I believe you'll get a picture associated instead of video. So you should be able to see this pretty clearly, hopefully, as we're talking.
Yeah.
And we go through the tiers. But, Joe, how hard was this exercise for you?
Ranking them?
Yeah. Put them in the tiers.
I mean, it's probably harder looking back at it. Like, you could put a letter grade to anything, you know what I mean? You could say, oh, I had a breakfast this morning. It wasn't that good. It was a D. You know what I mean? That's not too hard putting a letter to anything. But
yeah.
But making sure you space everything out for one is kind of tough. Going and making sure that you don't got a team that, you think is subpar is in a tier with someone else that you think is actually pretty decent.
Yeah. Well, and here's another thing that I noticed as I was doing this, because I was going off of the standard in my mind of like league average is like a C+, right? Like when you're just like, if
maybe
you
that's where we were different then.
Like if your team is just like, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not good. you're like you're a C plus basically, right? And you're just a little above average to B minus, and if you're like, and then to me, like the way I looked at it is the B category, anything B plus to B minus was almost like maybe I liked either the head coach or the quarterback, like a lot.
Yeah,
and they're
that makes
doing
sense.
more of the heavy lifting, bringing up the other guy's flaws. Or maybe it's just like there may be a few situations where it's like both guys are like, I like them, but I don't love them, right?
Yeah, I get you.
And then you had to have a pretty strong tandem of both guys to get in the A category for me.
Yeah,
A minus
facts.
to A plus. If you're in kind of that C to C minus, C plus C minus range, to me, it was like maybe there's some questions, right? Maybe there's some stuff there, but you're kind of league average. And then D or to F is like
you have the worst shot of all time, and you're hoping that something can happen.
Spoiler alert: probably the teams that I think are the worst teams in the NFL at this point. So,
well, I don't think that's a spoiler. We had the same talk kind of last week.
Yeah.
When we draft them, they were the last teams to get picked.
So you can make some guesses. Now, what I will say that is positive for the league, I think I have more of the league in the A to B category than I have C to F.
Yeah.
Which means we like a lot of combinations. There's a lot of stuff there. Obviously, I think for both of us, the B category is where more teams than not were in. I think we both had like over 10 teams in the B category. So,
I'd say there's at least like 12 for both of us.
Yep.
Just off a quick look on this whiteboard.
But yeah, so and the last important note before we start getting into it is this is a ranking for like just the 2026 season. This is taking in the information that we know. Maybe a little bit of projection for next year. This isn't like who do you want for the next 5 years. This is like, are you trying to win the Super Bowl next year? Who's your duo? Who's your head coach?
Yeah.
Who's your quarterback? How good do I feel about you winning a Super Bowl with that combination? And this is also not taking into account the rest of the team. There might be some guys in the A through B category that we love the head coach and the quarterback. Maybe the rest of the team kind of sucks, and that's maybe
true.
not
their
why
their weapons aren't as heavy. Or the inverse. The head coach and QB could be lacking, but they could have a great skill positions.
Yeah. There might be some teams in that C category that we still kind of like, but maybe the weakness. Now, I will say there's a direct correlation. There's a reason we're ranking quarterbacks and head coaches. Yeah. There's a direct correlation between who are those guys for you and how likely are you to win a Super Bowl most of the time.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, so there may be some hurt feelings here. I don't know. We'll see. From some people, but I feel pretty good about the rankings. Like I said, we looked over them multiple times. It's not an easy exercise. There's some teams that you feel like maybe I'm not as high on them or it should be higher or whatever, but we'll go through it. So we'll start in the A pluses. I think we start with the best and work our way back. Yeah,
Sounds
get to the worst. So an easy one that we both had like super consensus. I think most people will understand and agree, which is the Rams.
The LA Rams, yeah.
They've got a coach of the year, like yearly coach of the year candidate in Sean McVay, and they've got the most recent MVP in Matthew Stafford. So when you're talking about trying to win a Super Bowl, if you have a guy who is consistently in the coach of the year race and a guy who's
won MVP,
who just won the MVP. Now, the greatest scare, obviously, is
age or health
with Stafford. Yeah. Is there going to be any kind of decline? Is he not going to be healthy? But if you're going off the information we have right now, to me,
it's looking pretty good.
That's an A+ duo. Now, we both have two teams in this A+ category. I'll let you tell your other one, and this is where we do differ. We're consensus on the Rams, but we each had a different team in this our other A+ grouping.
Yeah, so my second team is going to be the Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of makes sense to have them here. They've won 3 Super Bowls and been to 4 or something in the last 8 years. So I think it's a surefire duo to have here with the Rams right now.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, and I think this is a consensus pick for most people would be that you got to have Mahomes and Andy Reid up here in the A+. At the very least, they're an A, right? My A+, my other team, and again, just quarterback and head coach, I've got the Chicago Bears.
Bears.
So for me, it comes down to Ben Johnson has been one of the best play designers
That's true.
in football, and is not just a great play designer. He's a great play sequencer in game and calling stuff and setting things up. I think we talk about when you suggest the best play callers in the game right now. To me, that's McVay, Shanahan, and Ben Johnson. Those are the three best in terms of designing an offense and then calling it down to down, play to play during the sequencing of a game and setting things up. Those three guys are above everyone else right now.
Yeah.
And so I think Ben Johnson is a big part of this. But the other part, then, you look at Caleb Williams, the way that he played down the stretch last season.
Crazy.
He didn't necessarily start the year great, right? And we saw what he did as a rookie.
Like 4 weeks, I'd say. And then he kind of figured out, he got the groove, and they just skyrocketed from there.
Yeah, and the way he played, I'm telling you, in the playoffs and down the stretch of the season is what convinced me, like, this guy's going to ascend, to another level this year.
Madden cover guy.
He's the Madden cover. He's all that. Now, if you believe in Madden curses, maybe this is really not good. But I would say the talent, there's a little bit of, with Ben Johnson, it's known, I think we're at this point, we've seen it enough.
Yeah.
And even for him as a head coach, I know it was 1 year, but, like, his impact as a play caller still showed up in Chicago.
No doubt.
And then maybe with Caleb Williams, there's a little bit more projection, but just based on how things went last year, the talent after 2 years is undeniable. It's so obvious why he went number one, right? But the other part is just the way he played in critical moments. The throw he made against the Rams is
crazy.
Like, probably one of the most
insane. He ran
insane.
back like 30 yards and was just threw it up to the corner.
So like when you combine the design and play calling talent of Ben Johnson with the just unbelievable arm talent and ability to make plays on the run of Caleb Williams, it feels like even when the few times when Ben Johnson isn't scheming guys open, Caleb Williams is good enough to buy the time to create a guy being open. So having that duo to me makes them why I have them as an A+. Again, there's a little bit of projection with Caleb Williams here, but I think that it maybe is a hot take, but I like those guys as an A+. In the A category, the next team for me was Kansas City.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't put them in the A+, right, given all the history, given who Mahomes is, given who Andy Reid is I was just, Mahomes is coming off the torn ACL, right? He's coming off kind of a down year, and if we're being honest, like 2 down years, right?
Yeah.
And down years for Patrick Mahomes are different than down years for other people.
He won 10 games like 2 years ago, and then last year got hurt.
And still made the Super Bowl and all that. Yeah, so it's not like he's been bad. I don't want anyone to misunderstand. I just think our expectations for Mahomes are obviously really high.
Way higher than anyone else, yeah.
Kind of, in some ways, it feels like the offense around him has hampered him. I kind of have the feeling that we're going to see an MVP level of Mahomes again this year, truthfully, coming off. I think he's just feeling as a competitor.
He's going to be Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, coming off the ACL. You've seen him, the videos and stuff of him in camp and all that stuff. Like, he looks good. He looks like he's going to be motivated and ready to show like he's that guy again. The real reason why they're not the A+, even, considering Mahomes coming off the ACL, is really just like a little bit of like slight decline in Andy Reid, I think.
Oh,
just a little bit.
Older? Not enough cheeseburgers?
Well, we just said the last couple years the Chiefs' offense hasn't looked as good. I don't think that's Mahomes, right?
Oh, you don't think that's the weapons?
Yes, there's a little bit of that. Yes, it's not easy to just be like Tyreek Hill run down there. Tyreek's down there somewhere, right? They're not doing.
He had like Marquez Valdez-Scantling as one of his top. Juju Smith-Schuster,
and I know Kelsey's decline. There's a lot of reasons for it, but some of it is it's just felt like watching it. The Chiefs' offense has been a little bit stale, a little bit, and then bringing back Eric Bieniemy doesn't make me think that's going to change necessarily.
He went to UCLA and didn't do anything.
So my thought process is, I think that the dogs are taking over the podcast.
They said,
guys.
"Hey, bro, give me love." Another one said, "Nah, you got to give me love."
They're both looking for like some pets from Jodye. They're trying to get this guy. They're like, "Hey, we know you. You're here."
Yeah, I will say when I got here this time, they didn't nearly bark nearly as much as I did last time.
They remember, bro.
Yeah,
they remember.
They smelled me and said, "Oh, it's this guy."
It's this guy. He pets us a lot. We like this guy. But anyway, so finishing my thought on Casey, the only reason they're not an A plus, and this is the thing, I still have them as an A. Reed and Mahomes are still, in my mind, basically the third best duo on this
blueprint.
list. Yeah. So there's still those guys. Yeah. The next team I have on my A tier is the Los Angeles Chargers. This is Harbaugh and Herbert.
Yeah.
For me, the thing that I've always loved Harbaugh as a head coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's done it at every level. I know he hasn't he hasn't won a Super Bowl at the NFL level, but guy's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to multiple championship games. He obviously won a national championship in Michigan. He's a winner everywhere he's ever been.
That's true.
He's a bona fide great head coach, one of the best in the sport, in my opinion. And then Herbert has been solid for his entire career. It's just been man, if they just get the right guys around him, it feels like he's ready to be that guy. I've kind of never. Yeah. I think there's been a little bit of, especially earlier in his career, over projection from the data guys, if you will, the analytics guys who fell in love with Herbert from the jump. And I think that this year might finally be the year where those guys get proven right. I'm sorry, guys. The dogs are just
they're making sure that I can't see the screen, and if they're humming, I'm sorry.
Some of you guys will be hating, but I had to I think I had to kick them out of the room.
Make them scurry out of here.
They were
messing with me too much, and they were taking over the cords, and that's the main issue.
They were gonna mess with the audio. Poor guys, they're mad at me now. They're sad. We'll pet them later. But anyway, the real reason that I think that boosts this duo, I liked this duo, but last year this duo was probably a B plus. Whereas I think what will elevate them to being an A is Harbaugh's willingness to continue to evolve and get better. And we talked about this with him hiring Mike McDaniel, I think last week or the week before. That willingness to be we're going to evolve.
Where your A came in, where I have him a little bit lower, was because they brought in Mike McDaniel, and he's going to elevate that offense.
And I think that's a reflection of both Harbaugh and Herbert wanting to evolve and get better and grow the offense. And I think we're going to see that this year, which is why I think Herbert could have the year that the ball knowers, if you will, have been clamoring for probably 4 years now, and it hasn't quite happened. I think we're going to get that this year.
We saw a little bit last year too, I'd say. It was just I think Herbert had the hand injury late down the stretch, and that kind of tapered him off. But we definitely saw improvement in that second year with Harbaugh last year.
And I also the playoff game. It was just evident they needed that guy as the offensive play caller with the way their offense performed in the playoffs against the Patriots. I don't think you have that kind of game with Mike McDaniel calling plays for them. As much as you want to criticize what he maybe was able to do as a head coach of the Dolphins, I still think he's a good play caller. And even more so, I talked about McVay, Ben Johnson, Shanahan. Those are the standard for play designers and sequencers. I think with McDaniel, his design has always been super creative. It's part of why Shanahan was so good early. Where he fell off a little bit in Miami was as the actual play caller, and then there was maybe a shift in play calling dudes, all that, whatever. I think he'll get back to his roots here in as just being able to be the OC.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably part of it too. His first couple years there, they were lighting it up, and then next thing you know, Tua got hurt, and it was there's probably just too many head coach duties that were weighing on him as well, as opposed to just being a play caller.
Yeah, I love that that Harbaugh can free up McDaniel to just go worry about that. Next team on my list, funny comment here, I guess, it is New England. Now, I honestly, New England was an A+ for me. If you had asked me this 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, New England would have been an A+ right there with Chicago and the Rams. Because I love Vrabel, I love Drake May. Drake May is it's what I just said with
Drake May.
Stafford, with Stafford and McVay. It's a perennial head coach of the year candidate,
and he's a lot younger too,
and
which
an MVP
kind of
candidate
elevates. Yeah,
and
that's true. He was runner up
with the Patriots. You can project May to be even better because he's obviously younger and all that, right? And they added AJ Brown, and so there's some more around him. But the only reason they're not an A+ and they're simply an A is just because Mike Vrabel's been in the news too much, and
too many off-field issues.
There's a little bit of a worry that takes him from an A+ to an A, just about Vrabel specifically. It really has nothing to do with Drake May. Drake May is an A+.
Yeah,
Vrabel's just like maybe not an A+ right now.
Yeah, the distractions are
my comment to Jodye was if Vrabel hadn't been caught, they'd be an A+. And you know what we mean when we say that, so we're gonna leave the rest of that alone. And then the last team I have in the A category here, I have 4 total, is Baltimore. I love Jesse Minter. I love Lamar Jackson. The only reason that group's probably not an A+ is Jesse Minter's a first-year head coach.
Yeah,
a little
is
bit
he
of prove
a
it.
Defensive coach too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
a little bit of prove it here.
Sure.
A little bit of prove it. We got to see it for a year. Even though I believe in him greatly, I think he might have been the best head coach hire of the cycle.
Yeah.
I said that last week, I believe. And then Lamar, hey, just a little bit of a down year, right? We want to see, hey, Lamar get back to being Lamar. I think last year was better than the previous 2 years before that.
Mm-hmm.
But they missed the playoffs last year, so we need to see him get back to that, and we need to see Jesse Minter prove it a little bit. But man, in my heart of hearts, that group, they could. Any one of these teams in the A category
could get
if
bumped
they have
up.
if they have the year I think they could all be A+. There's just a little bit of like, hey, maybe there's a prove it here. So the potential, and of course, truthfully, you're splitting hairs between an A+ and an A, right? Or even an A-. Everyone in the A grade is kind of in the same tier with some small hairs between plus.
Yeah, there's either like a coach discrepancy or whoever you think at the quarterback or something else that
But I think this pretty easily covers not only the best quarterbacks in football, but then the best coaches. I mean, or what I project to be the best coaches. So, who do you have in the A category, Jodye?
So I have Chicago here at the A, simply because that was the first year with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, as great as they did, and I am high on them too. But I will say, like similar how you brought up the play with Caleb Williams in the Rams game, like that's also a crazy thing to do that you shouldn't really do, So it's like it works, but at the end of the day, you got to get away from more of the improvise and make sure that everything is on script, kind of. You can't. You could roll out. Get out of the pocket. That's different from I'm gonna just run back 3 yards and chuck the ball up and see if someone's in the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my next one was Denver, Bo Nix and
You're
Sean
high on
Payton.
Denver. You're high on Denver.
I'm wishy-washy with them. You know what I mean? I watch them a lot.
You just ranked them as an A. You're not
No. But
wishy-washy. They'd be like
if you go
a B-.
back a week, you would see that I didn't have. I don't even have them win the division.
Wow. But you haven't. So really, what you're saying, you believe in the head coach and the quarterback. Maybe you don't believe in the rest of the team.
Yeah, there you go.
Which
that's
we
a better way to
said.
Put it.
We said that's possible. Like, I have Chicago as an A+.
Yeah.
I'm not picking them to win the division. I'm picking them to sneak into the playoffs because there's a whole rest of a team beyond the head coach and quarterback.
Yeah.
The head coach and quarterback is the reason I have them as a sneaky playoff, just get in playoff team. If they didn't have those guys, I don't think Chicago would be anywhere.
Yeah, they're probably in a C.
I don't really love the rest of the roster, right? Yeah, there's
exactly.
a separate ranking that's like rest of roster ranking versus head coach quarterback. But go ahead, continue on.
So Bo Nix and Sean Payton, like the first year, Bo Nix rookie year, you know what I mean? We saw them do good things down the stretch. Last year they carried that in all the way to the second. Did they make the championship? And that's when they lost.
Yeah, that's when. Well, he could remember he got hurt against Buffalo.
So he made it to the round before the AFC Championship with them two before he messed up his foot, and it's like.
And honestly, if Nix is healthy,
they win that game.
They win that game.
Yeah,
and this is no shade at New England, because honestly, in truth, Drake May was also like clearly banged up.
Yeah,
but the difference is he got to play and Bo Nix didn't.
Yeah. If Stidham makes like 2 plays,
also in Denver, right?
Yeah.
Now, the blizzard thing changed a lot of that.
That is also true.
Peyton fourth down decision changed a lot of that game, all that stuff. But
yeah, that was before Blizzard, after Blizzard, yeah.
The biggest big thing, though, the biggest variable in that game is Denver had to start Jarrett Stidham, and they didn't have Bo Nix. I mean, so A-. Jody, I'll let you go first on A-. Who are your 3 teams here? 2 of which we've seen already.
I got Seattle for the first team here in my A- grade. Kind of hard to put them in the B range when they just made the Super Bowl and won. You know what I mean? I will say the Sam Darnold and McDonald, obviously they don't really collaborate too much besides him being in charge of the team. You know what I mean? But Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl, as I said. Kind of hard to make them go anywhere lower than the A-. Next team here I have is the Chargers. So kind of similar to what you were saying with them in the A range. We've seen Harbaugh and Herbert for a couple years now. So as them two, as the duo that we're ranking, I had to put them a little bit lower. I do think they've progressed and done well, but we just seen it a couple years already, and it's not like they've done anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, they haven't even made a conference championship. They haven't even won a playoff game together yet. So fair.
And then last team I have here, New England. Same thing with them in Seattle. Couldn't put them really low because they just were both in the Super Bowl. And on top of that, similar to what you were saying, the off-field distractions. It's kind of like how much of that is going to carry into the season, or how much of that like affected them even in like camp right now. So
the positive news, if you're a New England fan, is around the draft and everything, like the first few weeks after the draft, there was kind of that rumor that like maybe Vrabel won't be able to coach the team this year, and that's
which is also crazy.
That's kind of gone away. I think if that was going to happen, it would have happened. It seems like all of the parts of that story are for the most part out there now, at least on his part of it.
Yeah.
Every day it seems like we get a new Diana Rossini story.
Or not even that. It's like it's just a rumor more often than not. Like we get. I don't even want to say updates. It's just like you get a little like spit of info, and it's like
just
who knows if
recently
that's real.
for like getting out of a traffic ticket, which I think everyone is making like this crazy big deal about. And I'm like,
yeah,
dude, people try and get out of traffic tickets every day. Like
That's
I'm not
true.
saying it's right. It's become like the biggest story. You know where we're at in the off season because it's just become like the most important. Like,
that's the headline of the time right now.
Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings head coach, because he was the one that was like the head coach she used to get out of that ticket. Somehow he's catching some shade now, and I'm like, what if he didn't do anything?
Yeah,
but,
no, he's coaching.
All right, so my A- here is Buffalo. It's, you could argue, the best quarterback in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with just Josh Allen alone, you can't rank. I don't even care who the head coach is. I can't rank him lower than an A-. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I get you.
So it's like he couldn't go much lower. Joe Brady is a very much so unknown as a head coach. As an offensive play caller, he's been just fine. I mean, I think it seems like they were just done with McDermott, but I still.
It was the Harbaugh effect where they lingered so long. They're like. They still produce, but the team or the organization is just mad.
It's still kind of weird to me that they fired him just to promote the OC. That whole thing was weird. But at the end of the day, I think there's some continuity with Joe Brady and Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's been able to play like an MVP in Joe Brady's offense. So I can't rank him much. Like I said, I couldn't go lower than an A-. The only reason it's an A- is Joe Brady is fairly unproven, and unlike like maybe a Jesse Minter or some of the first year head coaches, I'm not fully sold on Joe Brady yet.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't think he could be good. I just kind of feel like we need to. There's not as much evidence as like what Jesse Minter was able to do for the Chargers defense the last 2 years in the NFL, and before that, winning a national championship at Michigan with that defense, and even a guy very similar, Mike McDonald, going and winning a Super Bowl in Seattle. Like, just gives you a ton of comp. There's more proof of concept there. Versus Joe Brady, not enough data for me to say, yeah, he's that guy. So it's the only reason they're an A-, but with Josh Allen alone, you can't go lower than, you can't take him out of the A, in my opinion. So I have 7 teams ranked in the A category. Jody also has 7. We just kind of distributed them a little differently. The only team you have as an A that I didn't was Denver and Seattle. and the teams I had as an A that you didn't were Baltimore and Buffalo. So other than that, pretty similar lists here. So now we go to the B category. We start with a B+.
Yeah, so right here is where I got Buffalo and Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
My reasoning for this is just because we haven't seen the coaches. I didn't know the Buffalo's head coach was the OC. I'll tell you that right now. So that kind of makes a lot more sense why you're higher on him. But no, just in terms of like having the new head coach come in, that like you said,
well,
Josh Allen
so
is
long
great.
Ago that like you just forget.
That's
honestly.
true too.
We're in the early July. It's like these moves all happened in
Like
January,
I was
February.
gonna say January, but I didn't know when they got out of the playoffs. But no, so that and then Baltimore, obviously, they got their new head coach as well with Minner, and he's a defensive guy, so it's like I wasn't gonna rank them higher just because those two wouldn't really be working together like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My other two teams here in this category though, I got Dallas. I think it's more of a Dak Prescott here than Schottenheimer. Obviously, they played well enough last year to be in the combo of potentially making the playoffs. But Dak Prescott has been really good. He's got great weapons that he's allowed to put on display, and it's like I feel like they're really close to being what the Cowboys fans think they are, but at the same time they still choke it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my last team was gonna be Jacksonville. I think what we saw with Liam Cohen in his first year with Trevor Lawrence, it was up and down, but they're getting it done slowly. You know what I mean? They're that goes back to the weapons. Those dudes were all hurt, so it's like Trevor Lawrence can only do so much. But I feel like they got a good like plan in place. They just need everyone else around them to be able to do what they need to. You know?
Yeah. For me, I'll start with the two teams that were A's for you. They were just like for my two teams that were A's that didn't make your list. They were B+. I've got two teams that weren't A's for me that were a B+, and that's Denver and Seattle. I'll start by talking about Seattle. I think there is probably a little, you said they were just in the Super Bowl, so you didn't really feel like you could rank that duo lower than an A.
Lower down, yeah.
And in some ways, I tend to agree. I think Mike McDonald is a top 5 coach in football. He's the best, he's the defensive version of what I talked about with Ben Johnson and McVay and Shanahan, right? And it's kind of fun that he's in that same division with McVay and Shanahan.
Yeah, true.
The only way you could make that division more fun was if you added like
if
Ben
the
Johnson.
Cardinals were good.
If say the Cardinals had Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams as their head coach,
Kyler, they let Kyler stay and they got Ben Johnson.
But something along those lines. But like, so I'll say that he is that guy. It's the reason I have him as a B+ is Sam Darnold. And you may say, okay, well, Sam Darnold just won a Super Bowl. How could you put him as a B+?
Well, he didn't win MVP.
Well, not even that. It's just like, yes, Sam Darnold had a really good year in Minnesota, and then he had a pretty decent year in Seattle. It wasn't quite as good as what it was in Minnesota. But my argument, and this is not a diss, it's just a compliment to the way Seattle built their team. I would say Seattle and Chicago are the complete opposites for me, right? Which is that, like, Chicago, I think, has one of the, I ranked him as an A+.
Yeah.
The best head coach quarterback duo in the league. I don't trust the rest of their roster. Seattle is.
Oh, it's the inverse.
I think it might have the best roster outside of quarterback, head coach in the league, and which is why they were carried to a Super. Because if you watch the Super Bowl back, dude, Sam Darnold wasn't very good. Just to be honest, they won the Super Bowl in spite of Sam Darnold, not because of Sam Darnold.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's fair.
And
That's
truthfully, Mike McDonald put on a masterclass on defense, and he is that guy. And that's also why I couldn't. Yeah, I could have made an argument here to put these guys in the A- because of Mike McDonald alone, almost what I said with Josh Allen, with Buffalo being an A-. But I went with a B+. And I also think, I'm very curious to see a lot of what else helped Seattle last year beyond, that roster. I think they had the best play caller who wasn't a head coach last year in Kubiak. And now Kubiak's gone. Yeah. Right? So Sam Darnold on another OC.
I didn't think about that either.
And so I need to see it from Darnold. If Darnold does it again this year, if he's like really that good, because this last year in Minnesota, he was consistently good, and then he got to the playoffs against the Rams and turned into a pumpkin, right? And then this last year in Seattle, it was very up and down. He was really good through the NFC playoffs, and then he was like not great in the Super Bowl. But it was good enough, obviously,
enough to
to
get it
win.
done.
So I can't go lower than a B plus. If your head coach quarterback duo has won a Super Bowl, the floor is B plus.
Yeah.
I don't think you can win with something less than that. But that's why I have them there. With Denver, very similar. Sean Payton is a top. It's hard. You can't call everyone a top 5 coach, right? So somewhere in between, like the
He's
top
10
top
according to the list.
top 4 to 8, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is one of the better head coaches in the league. Even now, he still innovates as long as he's been a head coach in the league. And then Bo Nix, I think, really proved that he was a guy that elevated last year and was awesome. So I have to give him his just due. I don't think. Here's what I would say. I think Bo Nix might be in this category. It's funny. This category is actually really like my B pluses. Most of these teams in this group, phenomenal head coach, top 5, 5 to 8 head coach, and then a quarterback who I'm like, that's 3 of the teams of my 4. 3 of the teams of my 4 in this category. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
So Denver and Seattle, very similar. And also, I would say Denver is kind of the AFC version of Seattle. The rest of that roster is awesome, right?
Yeah. That's
so then I'll go to San Francisco. It's very similar. Shanahan. He's one of the 3 best play callers in the league.
Everyone
he's
bring
a top
up
5
the
coach.
Shanahan tree all the time.
Yeah.
Starting with his pops.
Purdy is good, but it's a lot like Bo Nix and Sam Darnold, where it's like
who you could fit in and they make it work.
Sometimes you watch him and you're like, this guy is a top 5 quarterback in the league. Look at him. Look what he's doing, right? And that's when everything is sequenced right. Everything is popping open. They're making throws on time. But if you ask those guys to do more than that, it starts getting a little like, I think Nix, his extendability, all 3 of those guys can extend. Nix is the best one at it. Nix adds another dimension, I think, with his legs more so than Purdy or Darnold.
Yeah, no doubt.
I would say Purdy's probably the worst of those guys on this list in this category, this B plus. But Shanahan's such a good coach. Yeah. So the elevation factor, and Purdy still obviously I think is a guy you can win with. So, and then the last team on this list is the opposite. This is Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is the one that elevates Zach Taylor. And I do think Zach Taylor, it's a lot like these quarterbacks. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying he's not like a top 10 guy. None of those quarterbacks are top 10 guys. Zach Taylor's not a top 10 head coach, but he has a top 5 quarterback. And just like these other dudes have a top 5 head coach, hence the elevation factor here. So that's where I landed with my B pluses.
I was going to say, I feel like Zach Taylor, I don't know how they stuck around with him in Cincinnati, but I feel like it probably showed.
I bet you, honestly, if Joe Burrow likes that guy, they're not going to fire. You know what I'm saying? So I think that has a lot to do with it. Joe, that's his play caller. Burrow is comfortable with him. I think they've built a really good. You can't do that. Come on. The quarterback has a lot to say in that situation, and I think that's a big part of it. We move to the Bs. We have some teams in common here. Let's kind of cover those together. We both have Philly and Green Bay.
We got Detroit as well. We got all of them. All your teams are on.
Yeah. Okay, so we both have Philly, Green Bay, and Detroit. So let's kind of talk about Philly here. Why were they a B for you?
For me, I think I feel like Philly's just done with Sirianni as a whole. You know what I mean? I don't really know what he adds. I know he was their OC for a little bit. They brought in a new guy to take over that job for him. So it's like that as a whole. Jalen Hurts is pretty good. You know what I mean? He doesn't really throw the ball often, but he does a lot with his legs. And so I think like they're just both like solid, I guess, in a way, where there's not much that I would say is bad or good. They're just, like your average grade, you know what I mean? And I think B is good enough for that. And they've done enough to make the playoffs since their tenure together, so it's like it's kind of hard for me to put them any lower.
Well, they won a Super Bowl together. I think I just said a second ago, I can't drop a tandem that won a Super Bowl together lower than a B plus, right?
Yeah.
This feels like the one exception to that rule, which is because it feels like Sirianni was this close to being fired.
Yeah.
And it
more
feels
than once, I think.
It feels like if they don't start the year right, is it me or has he got like one of the hottest seats of an actual good team of any coach in the league?
Oh,
it feels
definitely.
like
he gets brought up every year for being in the hot seat.
And also in some ways, Hurts is in the same kind of boat. Like it feels like they could easily trade him and replace him and move on as well. So,
Which, I mean,
you know, they chose these two guys over A.J. Brown, right? Like,
Yeah,
the
that's
organization
true. That is
made that because it does feel like Hurts was out on A.J. was out on Hurts, and in turn, Sirianni was kind of in between, and it seems like Sirianni kind of went with Hurts and A.J.'s gone, right?
Yeah.
So it does feel like both these guys' seats are hot. There's so many good things that they can do when they're right, but when they're
Yeah,
wrong,
exactly.
this might be the duo that has like highest ceiling, lowest floor. You know, it's just like, man,
Yeah.
they're really up and down. So B feels like the right place for them. Green Bay.
No, before we do Green Bay, though, I do want to say you saying they should trade Jalen Hurts kind of crazy to me, but it's not a bad
I didn't say they
idea.
should trade him,
But, okay, you said
they could.
Yeah, and I
And
think
it
that
wouldn't
would
feel
be,
like insane. It would be
and
like,
I
I
feel
get
like
it.
some people would, like, dog that, being like, why are they trading him, blah, blah. But, like, a lot of the stuff that is good from him was with his legs, being a.k.a. the tush push, being a big factor, you know? That line's getting older.
He's also
They're always banged
one
up.
of the. I think he's one of the like smarter at the line of scrimmage quarterbacks that we like. He's in control of that offense all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in saying that, he's in control of that offense. That offense didn't perform well in big moments, so then it's also that also falls back on him, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
here's what I would say: I could easily make the case Philly should trade him. I could also very easily make the case that any of the teams C+ or lower on this list could
Love
and
to
should
have him.
trade for him.
Yeah.
Yes. So, like, what are we doing? You know? Okay, Green Bay. Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love.
It kind of like same thing how I said that they're just solid. Like
Yeah.
we've seen them go to the playoffs, win a game, and then lose. You know what I mean? The past couple of years. I think that they both have potential. It's kind of what you said, where they have potential to go up or down a lot. But as a whole, we've seen them be consistent.
What I would say is we've seen, like, the difference between them and Philly. I think the LaFleur-Love pairing has a much higher floor
Uh-huh.
than, like, how bad it can get in Philly with Sirianni and Hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know if they quite have the ceiling, though, that Hurts and Sirianni had of winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. I don't
don't
think so either.
That roster around them is also very good. It's really like we've seen LaFleur and Jordan Love. When they're in that groove, we've seen playoff games where those guys were awesome. We've also seen some playoff games like, okay, last year is a great example against the Bears in the playoffs. LaFleur, especially in the first half, the way he was calling plays, Jordan Love was
were on it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Jordan Love was really good through the entirety of that game. LaFleur had some like absolute
Bad calls.
blunders later in the game that, I mean, you could argue cost him, right? And so that's where it's like, but we've also seen the opposite, I think, where Jordan Love's not had some of his best moments in some of those
during
bigger
the regular
spots.
season for sure. You could see him struggle versus teams where you're like, why is this even a thing right now? So, like, I think they're both good enough. It's just an issue of them being able to be consistent.
This B category is like where, like, anything B+ or above is like, no doubt, I think you can win the Super Bowl with that duo.
Yeah.
The B is like, and again, I know Philly's here, so people are gonna crush me for it. It's like a real question mark. Like, I think maybe you could, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, that's kind of Philly, like, maybe they could again. But, man, the rest of the roster would have to be, like, great. Like, really, really good. And Green Bay is kind of in the same spot.
And the issue there, though, too, is Philly relied on Saquon so much that Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So it's like we got to see more from Hurts.
If the B+ is marked by one really awesome guy and then another guy who's, like, good enough, the B category is two guys who are, like, really good, but you're just not sure how good.
Yeah.
Because I would say the same thing is true of the Detroit combo with Dan Campbell and Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Part of that was like the elevation of, for the first couple years of that pairing is Ben Johnson, right? And
exactly.
We've been asking for a year now, in before that last season and through last season, how much of that was Ben Johnson, right? How much credit should Dan Campbell, how much credit should Jared Goff get? How good are both of those guys? And I think we saw last year they're both still just fine, but they weren't quite good enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah, true.
Now, I think there's a chance for a revival this year in that team to get back in. You know, I like a lot of the roster, and I picked them to make the playoffs. But there's still some question marks there with both guys. It's like, is Dan Campbell just a rah-rah guy? Or is he also, like, the schematic advantage creator that you want as a head coach in the modern NFL?
Yeah.
And then by the flip side of that is, like, Jared Goff can execute an offense really well. We've seen that with McVay. We've seen that with Ben Johnson. But when he doesn't have one of the premier play callers, one of the top 3 play callers in the NFL,
It all goes downhill.
can he be good enough, right, that he can still elevate an offense to a level where you can be consistent and win playoff games? And we haven't quite seen that yet. So therein lies the question. Now, you have 2 other teams in this category. One of them is Cincinnati, who we kind of talked about.
Yeah, I think like I said, the Zach Taylor is kind of where I have them a step lower than you do.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I have here, though, is the Giants. So I got Harbaugh and Jackson Dart. I think we saw a lot of good out of Jackson Dart. Just he's kind of like how Jaden Daniels was his first year. Just couldn't get down, so things happened to him here and there. Got banged up pretty decent. Of course, Harbaugh's coming in as a new coach.
Yep.
But I think that here we could see either a lot of growth or it'll just be kind of an improvement from what the Giants have been, and not necessarily like a big jump, you know?
Yeah.
So I like the coach and the
You like the coach quarterback. It's the rest of the roster that you're still...
Yeah. And like I think they got good weapons, but it's a matter of how much can they do, especially in their division. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of where it all starts for them.
Okay. And I think they still fit the billing of kind of the rest of this list of what we talked about, a head coach and a quarterback that maybe still have some questions for both of them. Okay, B-. This is where we start getting into like at least one of the guys has some flaws, I think, that caused this grouping to drop a little bit. And you're still probably that B-, C+, like I said, is kind of the verge of essentially average, league average. And so for me, it's funny, this list is marred in 2 divisions. Like I've got
yeah, that's true.
I've got a lot of the
that's kind of like my B ranking, honestly.
NFC East and the AFC South here for me. So I'll go through them fairly quickly. I've got Dallas, Schottenheimer, and Prescott. You talked about it a little bit earlier. I think I'm not as high on either one. It's as good as their
Dak for sure.
As good as their offense was last year, and Schottenheimer was much better than anyone in the media was giving him credit for when he got that job. So I got to give him that credit. True. I don't think anyone at this time last year would have put that pairing in the B- category, in the B category at all, right? And so I think it's a testament to what they did last year as a duo to be even in the B. But Dak is getting a little bit older, right? Yeah. I do love the weapons and all of that. I think Schottenheimer did a good job, but I'm still not sure I'm 100% sold on Shotty as a head coach. And Dak is, I don't know, what is it about him that, like, when they get to the playoffs, his entire career, it's never quite been good enough, you know?
Yeah.
And this is where I stop. I go from, like, do I question, could this duo win a Super Bowl in the B category to B-. I'm like, 60-70% sure they can't.
Yeah.
Right? Like I start getting a little bit.
It, but they're probably not.
I could. Well, it's almost like the rest of the roster would have to be perfect for it to happen.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's
and there's just enough flaws. The next team I have here is Washington. Dan Quinn's been to a Super Bowl as a head coach. He has not come anywhere close to that since then. In terms of the level he was as that Falcons head coach, his first year in Washington was really good. He's been a good defensive coordinator in Dallas before that. Obviously that first year in Washington, they made the NFC title game.
Yeah,
it was a huge surprise, all of that stuff. But it's just, he's on the hot seat, right?
That's true. And Jaden Daniels needs to stay healthy. I have him here as well.
Daniels, I love him as a talent.
Yeah.
But he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And you said, we talked about this before. If he's healthy, I think they could make some noise and make the playoffs. I really do. Right. I think they're a team that's going to be much improved. I like they got a little bit younger on the rest of the roster. They were too old last year.
Key thing I was going to bring up too is that they were older the past couple of years, and it's like it showed down the stretch that they were banged up. With
the duo specifically, for me, the questions that come with both guys is Dan Quinn, can he continue to be a positive impact as a head coach, especially with his role on the defensive side? And then Jaden Daniels, can he be healthy enough to be as productive as he was as a rookie, right?
Yeah.
It's less a talent question for him as much as it is, can he be healthy? Jacksonville, Liam Cohen had a great first year. He's been a play caller for 2 years. He was good with the Bucs. Now he's been good with the Jacksonville as a head coach. The question is, like, in the playoffs, they actually played Buffalo really well. There was a lot of stuff there. I mean, they won 13 games a year ago. Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better, but we kind of had this like Trevor Lawrence. We saw the same story with Doug Peterson, his first year with Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Where it was like, man, he's bad. Like we fixed him. It was all, and then the next year it went downhill.
Yeah.
So I'm this is a prove it year for me for Trevor Lawrence,
Okay.
and in some ways for Liam Cohen. I think of the teams on this part of the list, this is the team with the best chance to elevate and be above what I think right now, which is that I don't think I'm pretty sure this duo isn't winning a Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
But they have probably the best chance to elevate and prove me wrong. Tennessee, I love Cam Ward. I really like Robert Saleh. I think he got a raw deal in New York. I think he's been the best New York Jets head coach since they were going to AFC title games with Ryan as the Rex Ryan as the head coach. I think he's been the best head coach in New York since then.
Yeah.
And he didn't really get
I would agree.
He didn't really get a fair shot there because he never had the quarterback. I love that in Tennessee. I think he has the quarterback with Cam Ward. Now, I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl with that duo right now. Mm-hmm. But I think that potentially if Cam Ward could make some leaps and Robert Saleh sort of continues to show he's that guy on defense, this could, again, I would say this is another one that maybe they could prove me wrong. Maybe they could get a little bit higher in the future. Not this year, but in the future. The last one that I have here is Houston. CJ Stroud. After watching that playoff game last year, I just don't know that you can win a Super Bowl with that cat as your quarterback. I don't know if he's that guy.
He might have to cut his hair before we see some improvement, bro.
I do love D'Amico Ryans. But I do think there's some game management issues he needs to clean up, and he still feels like hasn't gotten the OC right. I think that's part of the problem for CJ Stroud too. So
how many has he had since he's been there?
Let's see. Who did they the first year when they were really good? They lost the OC, right?
Okay.
And then they hired the San Francisco guy who after a year they were like, we're done with this cat. We fired him. And then they hired a Rams guy last year with Nick Caley. And he was not much better last year, but they're giving him another year. And I don't know. We'll see. So I do think, we'll see. I just right now, this B minus group, I don't think any of these teams are winning a Super Bowl or these duos are winning a Super Bowl. Even if the rest of the team was phenomenal, which you could make cases for, especially for Houston, that the rest of the team is phenomenal.
Yeah. So, like, we've seen D'Amico Ryans, because I also have him in the B minus, where we've seen him coach that defense, like, amazingly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The front line, or front seven, I should say, is crazy. But CJ Stroud has been lacking the last 2 years since his rookie year. And I think what you just said is a proof as that the OC is kind of probably the big problem there, you know? He hasn't had consistency for one. In the first year, they won a playoff game. I think they might have won two. Mm-hmm. That dude was gone. So it's like, how much was it CJ Stroud, or was it the dude scheming up stuff for him to be a great performer? So I think that's probably a big issue for them. The teams I have here that you don't, I got Pittsburgh. So it kind of goes back to what you talked about with Philly. Yeah, it might not sound like a great choice, don't get me wrong, but McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, not mistaken, they won a Super Bowl together, right?
20 years ago?
I'm just saying.
No, it wasn't 20. It was it was probably like 16. It was 2010 that duo won a Super Bowl. So, but it's been like 15 at the 2010 season, 2011 Super Bowl. So it's been like over 15 years since they won a Super Bowl with another franchise.
They won a Super Bowl.
They're both together. Over the hill, big dog.
No, you're not. That's a good criticism to have. But I'm just saying these two dudes won a Super Bowl together. Not saying that they're the most amazing dudes out there, but they won a Super Bowl together. I had to give some testimony to that, you know. I have New Orleans. I'm high on Shuck. That's all I'm gonna say here. And I got San Fran as my last team. When we were making this list, I told TV, I said, "Yo, it might not be Brock Purdy that needs to be here." So, I agree with him when he said on Shanahan.
Mac Jones. He's ready for Mac Jones time.
Mac Jones time.
He saw him vibing at tight end U, and that's all he needed.
And so, I have Brock Purdy bringing down Shanahan. That's why I have him 2 steps below where TB had him. Because I think it could be Mac Jones' season.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you too much. The only team that I think the team we have the greatest difference on both of our lists is New Orleans. You have New Orleans with Shuck and Kellen Moore as a B minus,
whole grade ahead,
and we won't get to them for a while on my list. So we'll get to. I'll talk about New Orleans when we get there on the rankings, but that's probably the only team that I have like a legitimate problem with where you ranked them, like a huge disagreement. Most of the teams, it's one or two. Like not even letter grades, but like
I guess Pittsburgh. I have one letter.
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, so we go to C plus. Like I have Pittsburgh, I have Minnesota. You just had them as B minuses. I have the Giants, who you had as a B.
Oh, I didn't touch Minnesota. My fault.
Yeah. Go. Let's talk Minnesota.
My issue there. So we've seen Kevin O'Connell,
excellent.
Basically, the Vikings are San Fran is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Shanahan. That's what I was trying to get to. It's just question mark at quarterback here.
Serious question mark.
Kyler Murray, who knows
much
if he
greater question mark than Brock Purdy, for being honest.
No doubt. And JJ McCarthy, if he's healthy, maybe he could make a splash. But for the time being, with Kyler Murray, well, I don't know what we'll see out of Minnesota for the first couple weeks. Yeah.
Well, I have Minnesota as a C plus, and I kind of feel bad about it. I mean, I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's an excellent head coach and an excellent play caller. They had a tough year last year. Mm-hmm. I really like J.J. McCarthy. I've told you I still kind of believe in him. I still think they could be a playoff team. I still think there's a lot of good stuff on the roster there. At the end of the day, though, you know, the more I've been thinking about this, as much as I like J.J. McCarthy, teams tell you what they think of their quarterback. And if they believed in J.J. McCarthy, they don't bring in Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the real also outside issue beyond whatever limitations J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray have as players, those dudes in a combined, you know, however many years, I think Kyler's been in the league 7 years and J.J.'s been in the league 2 years. And so in their 9 seasons, I wonder what percentage of those games those guys have suited up for that they should have played. You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of games they've been injured versus actually played. Neither one of those guys can stay healthy. We talked about this before. I think they're both going to play. I think there's a solid bet that both those guys start over like 4 games this year. Yeah. Because neither can stay healthy. So that's why I have them as a C plus. It's not even as much of a question mark of their talents because in some ways we've seen almost near MVP level play of Kyler Murray. It was years ago in his career. It was probably 4 years ago. Yeah. But we've seen that out of him. And J.J. McCarthy in college led a team to an NCAA championship. Like I do think there's a talent and an ability that exists there. And I think J.J. believes in himself. And I think that's one of the number one quarterback traits. That's why I liked him so much coming out of Michigan beyond him just being a Michigan man. Yeah. and I love Kevin O'Connell. And I do think maybe there's a world where Kevin O'Connell can get something out of either one of them that pushes Minnesota into the playoffs. But there's just too many questions at quarterback right now for me to rank them above a C. Yeah, so they're C plus for me. Pittsburgh, it's like Aaron Rodgers is fine. Mike McCarthy is fine. The ceiling is so limited with both those guys at this point in their careers.
They can only go so far.
The floor, they are like a solid C plus. Like seriously, I don't think there's any wiggle room for them to be better or worse. Like I think they're going to be exactly that. They will be very middle of the pack. The rest of the roster might be good enough.
8 and 9.
Exactly.
I was asking. Sorry.
We'll give them 9 and 8. We'll give them 9 and 8. You know, I mean, they're solid. I just don't. At this point in their careers, they're both over the hill. I don't believe in either one of those guys to be innovative or creative or bring something new.
Definitely
or
not Aaron Rodgers.
Extend
that
a
not
play.
He was probably like 5 years ago. Not no more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you had this duo 15 years ago, you could win a Super Bowl. We saw it. You know, but now it's like, come on. And then the next 2 teams here, I've got the Giants. I like Harbaugh. I like the talent of Jackson Dart. I have serious questions about both at this point. Oh. Harbaugh, kind of like Mike McCarthy, a lot older in his career. I like him. I think he's going to bring some like legitimacy to the Giants that they haven't had since Tom Coughlin was their head coach, right? Okay. He's going to be an adult in the room. I think he's going to do a lot of really good things. But we got to remember, he just got fired from Baltimore.
Yeah, that's true.
With a roster that was ready to win a Super Bowl for years and didn't quite do it. Yeah. You know, I know he won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, but that was 2012. It's a lot like Mike McCarthy. It's been a while. Yeah. You know, and so as much as I love Harbaugh, and I love both Harbaughs, there's a little bit of like, you got to prove it again, you know? Yeah. the other part of this, Jackson Dart, another guy who doesn't stay healthy, by the way. I know it was his rookie year, but he wasn't healthy. And I don't see any part of his game that says, you know what, I'm not going to be as reckless. I'm going to protect myself.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy has whatever that gene is that says I can protect. And you kind of
He's
love
got
that.
the inverse. He says, I'm going to just go
You love
balls
that
the
about
wall.
him, but you kind of hate it about him. It's almost like, to me, Jackson Dart is the NFL version of like Ja Morant. When like early in Ja's career, you were like,
definitely.
oh my gosh, I love that this guy does not care. He's going to jump with everyone. He's going to dunk on anybody. He is awesome and electric. And then by like 24 years old, it's like, he was
like almost like a Derrick Rose.
He was in some like real, obviously some trouble with the guns and all that, whatever.
Yeah.
But also a big part of it was like his athleticism faded because he's just hurt so much, right? And that's what I worry about for Jackson Dart. That's my worry.
Yeah.
So you know that's why they're a C+ for me. And then with Vegas, I like the play caller, the head coach Kubiak. Obviously, I think he's another one of those guys, rookie, first year head coach, but I think he has a chance to be special. And then the other part of this is, the quarterback right now, the projected starter. We're going off projected starters is Cousins, and I do think with Mendoza in the future, this is a grouping that like I'm hoping sitting here next year we're like this is a B+ A- pairing. Yeah. But right now it's a C+ for me until I see it. That's and
until we get Mendoza at the home, I'm assuming is part of it.
Your C+s.
So right here, I got Tampa Bay. Baker has shown us that he could be a good, playoff talent. We haven't seen it the last couple of years, but I think here's my issue with the coach mainly. Because he started back when Brady was in his second year there. It was after.
Todd Bowles. Did he get it the last year where Brady unretired? Was that what it was?
I think so. I think he was there
because Arians retired, and then
he told him to pick him.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. You're right. So he might have got Brady's last year. I think you're right.
And so I think he kind of was just given the position. That was my point. Is to bringing that up. But
to be fair, Todd Bowles won the Super Bowl as their defensive coordinator, and was like a fairly competent. It's kind of like Saleh with the Jets. Truthfully, he was okay with the Jets. I mean, he wasn't a terrible head coach. There's just the Jets. Just God,
they didn't have a quarterback.
They've never had a quarterback. I mean, good Lord, when's the last
Mark Sanchez?
Dude, go back to Joe Namath. I mean, come on.
Hey, but he got them to the AFC Championship game. Come on.
Did he, or did that defense?
Or was that Rex Ryan?
Dude, come on. Anyway, I get what you're saying about Todd Bowles. I just want to make sure we're not disrespecting Todd Bowles here.
Okay. But so we'll see with Tampa Bay. Carolina have him here. We saw good things out of Bryce Young. It's kind of they had that benching, which was kind of weird when a couple years back, and he's kind of improved since then. Hasn't been consistent, but they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I do kind of believe in Canales, right? That's his name. We struggled with this earlier when we were writing this all out, and I think he could be a good play caller, right? He was coaching up Baker before he ended up in Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think they have potential to grow. It's just we haven't seen it. And Carolina is kind of what we just said with, the Jets. You know what I mean? They've kind of been the NFC of the Jets, where the revolving door. Christian McCaffrey's probably the biggest, or Cam Newton even was probably their biggest shine. And ever since then, it's what else do they do?
Yeah.
Not much.
I see where you're going there. I basically have a similar. I mean, I have Tampa Bay, Carolina together as well.
Yeah.
In the CE category. So I'm with you. This is complete league average.
They're serviceable.
Below this, you start getting this is bad, right? This is the last grouping that you are it's passable. You might be able to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Beyond this, I start getting into teams that if this is your head coach quarterback duo, you're probably not even making the playoffs. It's not very good. And so this is the last grouping that I would say I'm you can make the playoffs with this group. I think you can make the playoffs with Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
You're not winning a Super Bowl ever. I don't care what team you put around them. Carolina, Dave Canales and Bryce Young are just fine. They made the playoffs last year. So there you go. There's a great they did it. But was that a team that anybody thought was making a run? No, I think most people didn't even pick them to win at home against the Rams, though they played much better in that playoff game than I think most people expected.
That is true.
But I think if you gave, here's the thing. I think if you gave fun thought experiment here. If you were to switch these duos up, and you said, "Hey, give Dave Canales as the head coach and play caller, Baker Mayfield as quarterback, give Todd Bowles, Bryce Young as his quarterback," I think the Canales Mayfield
they go up.
Pairing goes up.
Yeah,
it goes up
a
tier to like a B-, and I think the Bowles Bryce Young they maybe go down to a D+. You know what I mean? So that's also part of it too. But I think they're both a solid C for me. You have Tennessee here. Why Tennessee?
I think it goes back to year one with Saleh, right? And I do like Cam Ward. Obviously, last year's rookie season wasn't what you saw good things out of him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they just couldn't get it done. I do think they are a good pairing in terms of like the coaching style and how they play, but I just don't know. There's too many like unknowns for me. You know what I mean? Like Saleh going back to being a head coach as opposed to just DC that we just saw. You know, like I think that could be a little bit of setback for him. Cam Ward, year two definitely gonna looking better out of things that we've seen out of camp, but it's more of just like I need them to prove me wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do think they both could be good. Just I haven't seen it, so I have them at C.
Okay, C-. For me, this is the best of the worst. So I'm going to go with Atlanta here. Kevin Stefanski's been a 2-time Coach of the Year. He won the Coach of the Year for the Browns twice. It's like, and it was not that long ago that he was the Coach of the Year. Think about that. Yeah. All the guys we've talked about as top 5 coaches. This guy was winning Coach of the Year twice in Cleveland.
That is kind of crazy.
So it's like, man, is it disrespectful to have him at a C-? But by the same token, I don't know.
We don't know who the quarterback is.
And that's part of it. And it's like Stefanski, beyond just like, I don't know, can he manage the organization into the right direction and get Atlanta going? Coaches have struggled there since Dan Quinn left,
that's
right?
True.
And then the quarterback part, it's kind of like Minnesota. Honestly, it's almost exactly like Minnesota. It's almost exactly like Minnesota, except that with Minnesota, I trust their coach a little bit more, so that's why they're C+. Even though Kevin O'Connell isn't a 2-time head coach of the year, but
I think I trust those quarterbacks that they have a lot more than the ones they have here. To be honest,
they've probably I don't know, dude. Tua at his peak was in MVP conversations, just like Kyler.
We haven't seen him though.
What do you mean we haven't seen it? We saw it in Miami. We saw it.
No. I'm saying he's fallen off bad in the last 2 years.
So has Kyler. What's the difference?
They have JJ McCarthy is
Both,
the difference.
Here's the thing.
I don't know if I trust Penix more than JJ.
Here's the thing. Minnesota and Atlanta are in very similar situations at quarterback where you have Tua and Kyler who are being paid by their previous teams to go away. Here, please, we cut you. We'll still pay you. Just go. Leave the team, right? And then they sign vet minimum contracts to go play in these other places where they know, hey, your second-year quarterback wasn't as great as you were hoping for last year. Probably hurt a lot. This is part of the problem.
Yeah, they got a chance.
Let me go in there and let me go. Yeah, let me see if I can be the starter and go play. And so that's the same. And the funny part is there is the allure of both Kyler and Tua, and that it's like, dude, at their best, both those guys are pretty good. But you just don't know. They're not super durable. They're tiny.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. And then Penix, like you said, the foil to JJ McCarthy in this case, similar issue, staying healthy, but similar flashes of brilliance. I mean, you could argue that they've both shown kind of some of the same stuff. And Penix was the guy who J.J. McCarthy played against in the national championship, so he was that kind of winner in college as well.
The other thing, though, is Penix has been injury prone since college. That's
always
the huge difference.
Yes, J.J. McCarthy stayed healthy through college. He has not really stayed healthy in the NFL. That is a fair point. If I had to bet on either one of those guys, I would bet on J.J. before I would bet on Penix.
Yeah.
If I had to bet on either one of the older guys, I'd probably also bet on Kyler before I bet on Tua.
That's what I said.
And if I had to bet on either head coach, I'd probably bet on Kevin O'Connell before I bet on Kevin Stefanski. Now, the truth is, though, that's why one's a C+, one's a C-, but that's why they're both a C. I think that's the truth there. I like both head coaches more than I like both quarterback situations is what I would say, and why these guys aren't in the D or F categories because both head coaches are fairly competent. But Atlanta, it's the best of the worst in
Yeah.
terms of situations at this point. You have Vegas here.
Yeah, Vegas, year one with Kubiak, of course. Like, we saw what he did with Seattle, but now he's being a head coach. So,
Yeah.
brand new guy. And then similar to Atlanta or even Minnesota, we're rolling with Kirk Cousins right now, who's coming in for his first year. We got Mendoza as the backup at the moment, also going to be year one. Actual rookie compared to Kirk Cousins, you know what I mean? So kind of just similar to Tennessee, where I think they just need to prove it to me because they're both going to be brand new.
Okay, so we've gone through, if you're keeping track at home, 26 teams, A through C. D through F, we each have 6. Now,
Is it the same 6?
it's not. There's 2 differences. There's
okay,
2 different.
that one.
5 of the 6 are the exact same, so there's fairly consensus there. But here is where we differ, and it's in the NFC South. All right, so and which is reflected, I think, in some of our NFC South picks in terms of
that's true.
who we picked in our teams drafts and who we believed in. So for me at the D+, I have New Orleans. Jodye had them at a B-, if in case you guys forgot. This guy believes in Tyler Shuck, and I'm sitting here going, Tyler Shuck couldn't even hold a starting job in college. He had to go to like 3 different colleges to start.
Hey, that's the new wave of college players, though. They leave.
But each year he was leaving his college to like, hey, we don't want you. Go somewhere else. We've got this other guy we like. It's like Oregon was like, nah. Texas Tech was like, nah. He finished at Louisville. It's like, dude, Tyler Shuck, he was a 3rd-round pick, whatever he was, I think.
Yeah.
And like he showed like some flashes last year in New Orleans, but I feel like there's been this massive overreaction.
I think
like,
he only lost one game.
The Saints have found their quarterback. I'm like, really? Tyler Shuck? That's who their guy is? I've got to see it. Like maybe I didn't watch enough of him.
Yeah.
But from what I watched, I was like, he's really limited. I don't think he's like their quarterback of the future, but people seem to believe so. And then Kellen Moore, it's kind of like, yeah, he was a decent play caller in Dallas, and he was a decent play caller in LA, and he was like a decent play caller in Philly, and like obviously he was good enough in Philly that they went and won the Super Bowl. I don't think he's ever been a guy where I'm like, this is a top 10 play caller in the NFL, but he's never been like lower than 15th either. He's kind of just like, yeah, he's solid, I guess, as a play caller. And they like, there's some creativity there. Like he's not Mike McCarthy where I'm just like, I don't love it. But it's also like, dude, Tyler Shuck is the quarterback, and if it's not him, it's Spencer Rattler. I'm like, neither one of them. Come on,
that's Chase's favorite quarterback.
Dude, neither one of these guys is something that I get excited about.
Yeah.
And Kellen Moore is not a good enough coach to elevate him. So that's where I'm just like, D+, dude. I wouldn't want that situation at all. And I don't know. The only reason they're a team that you could see making the playoffs is because the NFC South is so freaking bad.
Yeah.
If they were in any of the other 3 divisions in the NFC, they're last place.
Yeah.
In the NFC South, though, hey, maybe they win it. I don't know.
Yeah. They had a chance.
It's bad because you look at it. Look at this. The last 4 teams we've talked about have been the NFC South for me.
Yeah, that's true.
They're ranked C through D+ for me. So like
the whole division's right there.
It's just bad. But go ahead. You have Indianapolis here.
Yeah. I mean, they were, 6-0, 7-0 before Daniel Jones got hurt last year. So, like, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the mecca of quarterbacks, but they did well together, him and Steichen.
I would hope you wouldn't say he was the mecca.
Huh?
I would hope you wouldn't say he was the mecca of quarterbacks.
Well, we already talked about those dudes.
Yeah, we did.
No, but it's more of just like, who's even going to... Anthony Richards going to come in for him until he's done recovering? Like, I don't even think I believe in that guy. They don't even believe in that guy. It's... I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about Indy besides I'm looking forward to seeing them play.
I have Indy at a D. The bummer is I maybe kind of believe in Shane Steichen. And I think what he got out of that team last year was impressive. And then they screwed themselves by going, oh, my gosh, look how good we are. Let's just trade all our first-round picks and go all in. And, I give them credit for being aggressive. But
yeah, they brought in Sauce Gardner. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of belief in this team. I don't have a ton of belief in any of the quarterbacks they're going to play. And Shane Steichen is, clearly on the hot seat. Shane Steichen feels like the head coach that's going to get fired this year and end up as someone's OC that everyone loves next year. He's going to be next year's Mike McDaniel.
Isn't that what you said too earlier? And when like one of our past episodes, you're like, "What week is he gone?" Is that what you asked that for?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of what it feels like. So, the next team. So that was my grouping in Indianapolis. I had as a D. You have Miami, who I have as a D minus. So we'll kind of just talk about them in conjunction here.
Yeah, I think them losing, Mike McDaniel. For one, their play caller as a whole, head coach. Like that kind of tough. They
Well, what was weird about it is remember the whole thing was he was staying, his job was safe, and then he was suddenly fired.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it shows you how they're going in the organization.
Then it was your fire. Like the organization is dysfunctional. Yeah. It has been. I mean, they're much like the Jets, who we're going to talk about here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very.
And even. No, those are really the only two teams in that category right now. The Jets and the Dolphins are just the worst run teams in the NFL at this moment.
Yeah, and so that being said, they brought in Malik Willis at the start of this when we were, doing our rankings. I was like, who they got? Quinn Ewers, and I was being dead ass. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was the actual quarterback.
He forgot about Malik Willis. Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, I mean, he did do well in Green Bay when Jordan Love was out, but like now he's the man. You know what I mean? So who knows what he could bring to us? I just don't believe in anything they got going on over there, though. They had a fire sale on their talent too. I know that's not part of this, but
yeah,
it's just not looking good to me.
It's like Jeff Hafley, who was like okay as a head coach in Boston College, was probably a better coordinator for Green Bay than he was a head coach at Boston College. I don't know. It's like a solid. I don't hate the hire, but he's a rookie head coach who I have no idea how he's going to do. And Malik Willis, he was solid for 2 years as Jordan Love's backup when he got to play, and LaFleur made it look pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to look in Miami. This is a QB head coach ranking only, but in some cases you're projecting how are those guys going to look because you also kind of know what the rest of the roster looks like. And unfortunately for Malik Willis, who the heck is he throwing to? Because it ain't Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill anymore.
Is it Barrios? Who?
Is it Robbie Chosen Anderson? I don't.
That's the traveler of the whole league.
Seriously, so like, as much as it is just quarterback head coach, and that is part of it. It's also they're not going to be with a roster that's going to
A-chain, bro.
There's not going to be a roster around them that's going to elevate either one of them and help hide maybe some of their deficiencies as a head coach and a quarterback. So they're going to be really magnetized. The magnitude of those deficiencies is going to show. So I don't think
when it's bad, it's going to be real bad.
Yeah. So last team in the D category here, you as a D minus, you have Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean we kind of talked about it already. I'm not a huge fan of either of the quarterbacks that they're looking at starting. And who's their head coach that they brought in? Stefanski, yeah,
two-time head coach of the year.
Put some respect on it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those dudes got to go in and learn the whole system. He's brand new. I guess Penix was there last year, but bringing in Tua is also going to be brand new. So I don't know. I do think their team as a whole is really good, but the quarterback, I can't tell you what's going on.
I'm chuckling to myself because I'm thinking, as bad as we just talked about the Atlanta quarterback situation, it's like significantly better than the situation he just had in Cleveland last year. It's like
we haven't even talked about
so
those
much
dudes
better.
yet.
It's so much better, actually. It's kind of crazy. Okay, these teams in the F category are just so bad. Like
we should just name them off. We could say our letter game. We'll just talk about
just them so bad. I think the team we both clearly like out of the three better than the other two, and it's probably because
Jeremiah Love.
No. Just quarterback head coach.
That's
I
true,
think there's a chance Mike LaFleur could be a good head coach in Arizona.
Yeah.
So we're both kind of like, hey, but he is a rookie head coach, and we know what situation he's walking into, and it's a dysfunctional one. It's not good. And so we're both kind of like
Brissett. That's the difference.
They've got Brissett or Sid the Sloth.
Carson Beck.
It's laughable. Like the memes this summer of like, so and so is doing this and so is doing that. Meanwhile, Arizona's in a contract holdout dispute with Jacoby Brissett. And you're like, hey, good for Jacoby Brissett. He knows this is his
Who
one and
else
only
you-
chance.
where
to
else
get
you going?
Some real money, baby. Like get that man paid. But at the
Oh,
same
man.
time, it's like, man, that Carson Beck and Jacoby Brissett. That's the best we can do
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
tough.
And this is no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett because he's actually had a fairly decent NFL career, but no one feels
He
good. if
did.
that's
He
your
did
starting
solid
quarterback.
in New England too before he ended up in Arizona.
Indianapolis. I mean, he's been solid a bunch of places,
Yeah.
but no one has ever thought, you know who my quarterback of the future is?
Jacoby.
Jacoby Brissett. That's not. Come on, what are we doing? So if you're Arizona, it's pretty dire right now. It feels like they're like a tank for one of the best quarterbacks in the draft
Yeah.
next year type team, and maybe Mike LaFleur proves to be
Arch.
like okay. And they get the right quarterback next year, and like this is a duo that could be much better next year. They could be
Yeah.
in like the Las Vegas category of being in like the C. I don't know, but that's the last team that it feels like there's any hope for.
Yeah.
The last two, the Jets and the Browns. I mean, what in the hell? These head coaches and quarterbacks are terrible.
When we ranked them, I told TB, I said, "Yeah, put them at a G, bro. They're off the charts. They're not even."
They're not even an F. Like, okay, if I'm gonna say anything positive, if we start with Cleveland,
Oh man.
it's like, hey, Todd Monken, good OC for Lamar in Baltimore for a while. But that kind of got stale, and like it felt like if Harbaugh wasn't gonna get fired, Monken probably would have been fired in order for Harbaugh to keep his job. And the Cleveland job was so bad, it was like nobody wanted it, so they were like, "Here, Todd Monken, I know you're in your like 70s, but be our head coach for a year because no one else will take the
Yeah.
job." You know, it's like
Yeah,
poor
didn't people
Todd-
decline going there for an
it's
interview?
like no one wanted the. I don't know why they didn't just give it to Jim Schwartz. You know, like, and then beyond that, it's like,
Who's quarterback?
dude, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. There's like 5 bad options. It's like,
Our first guess was Deshaun Watson. Like,
I guess
we haven't seen that dude play in like 5 years.
It's like, okay, Deshaun Watson, maybe he can return to form. Shador, Pro Bowl Shador
Hey,
Sanders.
put the rollie up, bro.
And then it's like, oh, what about Dylan Gabriel?
Yeah, that's
you mean the guy who had to like instantly give up his number as soon as Jared Verse entered the team? How about Taylon Green, who they drafted out of Arkansas?
I've never even heard that name.
He's kind of a sick prospect. Like he runs around and looks big. He looks kind of good. You know, I don't know. But it's just like, what are they gonna do? Like I don't even know who the starter is. It's like it's almost like they go through the
Lost
season
cause.
and they chalk it up into quarters and be like, all right, everyone gets 4 starts.
You got to get your
Whoever
amount
does-
of reps in.
whoever does
this
the
guy
best-
needs 8 plays. Get him in.
This guy. It's like everyone gets 4 starts, and for game 8, week 18,
Whoever has the best.
whoever
record.
had the best 4 starts, you get the 18th game. You get the last game of the season. You get start number 17. And then, as bad as that is, the Jets might even be worse because it's like Aaron Glenn. This is who I said, how many weeks does he get before he gets fired? That's one. Aaron Glenn last year was terrible. And then Geno Smith, who was so
Off the
bad
field
as the
issues.
Raiders, and also is like in a huge
legal issues.
dispute with his I don't know, ex or the mother of his child. I don't, whatever. It's
all bad
It's
over there.
bad. And then beyond him, it's like I don't even know who else is on the depth. At least I know the names for the Browns. I don't even know
Yeah.
who's on. It's dude,
Gino. They drafted
could the Jets?
Klubnik. They got Cade Klubnik.
Yeah,
I don't
there
know
you
who
go.
else they got, but I know they
Here's the
drafted
deal.
a quarterback.
I wonder how much money you can make if you bet on the Jets to go 0 for this year.
Oh man,
Could they be the first 0-17?
who knows? But
It's dire.
you don't think they can get one?
No,
We haven't had the 0 and something in forever.
They'll get one because here's the thing. I actually like
like the last
parts-
week someone
I actually like
benches their
parts
team.
of the rest of the roster. Like there's other guys on that roster that are actually good, like players
Uh-huh.
that I think they can build with going forward. That it's just like I have no belief in Aaron Glenn as a head
Yeah,
coach.
you think
at this
he's
point.
fired, and we
I
don't
have
even
no
know what's
belief
going on
in
at
Geno
quarterback.
Smith as a head as a starting quarterback at this point. Like the Seattle, they wrote me off. I never wrote back or
Oh,
whatever
yeah,
days.
long
It's
gone.
been a while. It's
He went
not
to
good.
Vegas, and that wasn't the case.
So that's our tiers. That's our list. Obviously like, comment, subscribe. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Comment what we got wrong.
Oh, there you go. Tell us where we need to rearrange some stuff because
Who's too low,
this
too
picture
high?
will be on there for sure.
Now I think we were thinking maybe some awards today, but I feel like this pod was as
We're
long as
at
it was.
hour 24.
Yeah, we don't need to go much longer. We'll save awards for another day, I think. But here's the deal. Give us some love on the socials, on the YouTube page, and maybe comment, like I said, who we got wrong, where we messed up. Reminder that this is solely siloed among the quarterback and the head coach. You take into consideration a little bit of the situation around them and what they'll look like, but for the most part, we don't care about the rest of the roster. We're talking about these two guys, right? The most important spots in the organization. Beyond that, Jody, I think we got to end with a banger of the week before we get out of here. You got anything for us? I'm putting you on the spot, unprepared.
I mean, I saw Logan. We could just talk about it. I don't know if it was a banger, really, to be honest. But I watched it. It's kind of sad. I will say that. He's going out there. He's hanging out with all the kids. They're over there fighting. Kids are putting up a fight against these dudes. Kind of crazy. You see, the little girl come in who's basically him. I will say the foot one, kind of crazy. That's kind of a cheat code.
What's that?
The foot, she's got the Wolverine claws coming out the foot.
Did they re-release that movie?
I don't know. I was watching on Disney.
No. So you just randomly watched Logan?
No, I've watched all the X-Men.
Oh, and you got to Logan.
Yeah.
I forgot last week I told you got to get to that one. Yeah. Okay.
I caught up.
I was so confused. I was like, did they is it new? What did I miss?
No. I watched.
It has been a while since I've seen that movie though. I kind of got to go back and watch it. You're right. It is kind of sad.
Yeah. And so I would say if I had to grade it, because we're talking about grades today, I'd probably give it a solid, almost a B+, B+, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong, but up until Wolverine starts traveling with the little girl, it's kind of what's really going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because you're just sitting there kind of lost, to be honest. He goes, Charles dies. That's tough. Spoiler alert. I will say that is kind of crazy. Never thought that would happen.
Yeah. So for me, I got two things here. Number one, shout out to U.S. men's national team, huh?
Oh,
World
yeah.
Cup.
Hey, we're
round of 16.
on.
Round of 16.
Yeah.
We got who we got? Belgium?
Belgium, I think.
Yeah, Belgium. So hopefully by the time this
what's
comes out,
tough?
we'll have won and we're moving on to play probably Spain.
What's tough is the Mexico game is on Sunday.
Gonna miss that one.
Yeah, it's tough.
We could get it
versus
on
England.
Do
they have a TV?
We might. Might be able to get it on the TV for you.
If that's the case, I'll be happy because I was like, I'm gonna have to sneak away, pull up the phone.
Okay, so beyond that, just want to give that shout out. Different sports here, different football. You know what I recently discovered? So I was like, and maybe this is too mainstream for people, whatever. I was getting some work done last weekend, right? Some real yard work, doing a lot of stuff.
Audiobooks?
And I just no. And I was just sitting there going man, I just want I have my playlist and I have all them. And it felt like I just listened to all of the music I have, right? So I was just kind of you know what? I'm just gonna look for one of the Apple Radio things.
Yeah.
You know what I found? Apple has a most played songs.
Oh yeah, it's got
list.
everything you've listened to since the beginning of time.
No, not me. In the history of Apple Music.
Oh, Apple Music itself.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
it's a
the
top
one where
100.
You the most.
I think it was a top 100 most listened to songs in the history of Apple Music, and it goes back we're talking almost 2 decades, I think, of data. So it was songs that have been most streamed or listened to or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just just put that on, and you know what? Good chunk of songs that I listen to. But sometimes what happens. I don't know if this happens to anybody else. What happens to me, I'm not very good about hearing a song and being oh, let me add that. So I just have the same whatever group of songs that I added years ago, and I don't diversify ever.
I definitely be added in,
and
but it's
so I just forget to do that stuff. So there were songs on that list that I was oh, this song, yeah, it's a good one. I haven't heard it in a long time. And what I should have done is done what?
Added it to
that
playlist.
Did I do that? No, I didn't. But there was plenty of songs, and there were some songs that are already in my whatever. There were a few, but believe it or not, I was I've never heard this song before. I like it,
Yeah.
It was nice. It was good playlist, and the nice thing about it, most of the time you find those radios or the playlists or whatever, and it's gonna be the same kind of collection of songs, if you will, or
there's gonna be some crossover for sure.
Completely diverse. I mean, everything is on that list, right? So you're going through. which is why sometimes like I heard some songs I was like, I hadn't heard that one, So it was good.
Nice.
Now, like I said, some people are gonna be like, really, the most streamed songs? That's what the list you want me to listen to? Like, which I get. You're like, dude, I'm trying to find like new music. None of that is gonna be new to most people, but for me, it was perfect because I was like, I rediscovered some songs. I discovered some songs that were new to me, and then also listened to some like, this is a song I generally listen to anyway, and it's a good one. I'll just listen to it again. So.
Yeah, no, I know recently I've done the inverse where it's like my own like top 100, and obviously it's gonna be a lot of Drake. If you guys know me, I listen to too much Drake, but like I just like would scroll and be like, oh, look at this song, I haven't heard that one, similar. Yeah, but those are all curated from me, so that's the difference.
Yeah. All right, well, appreciate you listening to the in-person pod today. The special edition, wedding edition of the 2nd and 2 podcast. The next time you hear
TP's
Jody and
I married,
I'll be a married man. Sorry, taking off the market. Which, by the way, I probably won't be for a little while because I'll be on my honeymoon next week.
Yeah.
Jody's
I gotta go back home. I gotta edit this.
Yeah, so it might be a little bit of time before you hear us again. So hopefully this was a good one to get us through a chunk of the summer here.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you for subscribing, commenting, liking,
sharing. Let's
sharing,
get some shares in there.
adding us to your downloads list on.
There you go. Yeah, that's a big one.
Spotify or Apple Music. Like, get the alerts. Know when it's dropping.
Yeah. Facts.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and of course we've got our guy Ray. Take us out.